Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Melanie and I am super jazzed to be here as always. Today we're going to be talking about the Taurus full moon, different associations and correspondences you can use to call in the Taurus archetype, and what type of energy you can expect with a Taurus full moon. Before we get into the Taurus archetype and start talking about different ways to work with a Taurus full moon, I would like to remind you that as with all of my full moon videos, I'm not going to be discussing any transiting planets. I am only going to be talking about the full moon and Taurus's archetype, how to combine these energies, different ways to build rituals, and different correspondences or tools you might be wanting to use to call in the Taurus archetype. I do this so that these videos and these resources are useful no matter when you're watching this video. We're going to start by covering the Taurus archetype. I am biased because I have some Taurus placements, but the Taurus archetype itself is probably one of my most favorite archetypes to work with. You can see how much I love the archetype in my Taurus new moon video. I will link it up in the cards so you can check that out if you'd like, but I definitely love this energy that Taurus brings. Taurus is generally viewed as a feminine sign. Its planetary ruler is Venus. Planet love. Taurus is very sensual, and this comes from its planetary ruler being Venus. All about your five senses is what this really manifests as in Taurus. Enjoys good food, beautiful environment, lovely music. It's very embodied in the 3D. It adds that sensuality to Taurus, the comfort, the hominess of it, and not hominess as in like frumpy and unkept, but as in cozy and cultivating a comfortable environment. All of that tends to stem from being ruled by Venus. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It has a good eye for harmony, whether that is in relationships or in environment and aesthetics and art. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac, meaning it is at home in the second house. The second house rules over areas of your life like money, material possessions, work ethic, habits, priorities, your daily routines. Taurus's element is earth. It is an earth sign, very stable, very grounded, usually slower moving, again very grounded in the 3D, five senses, this world, this earth. Its modality is fixed, so can be considered quite stubborn or persistent depending on how you're wanting to slice it. Very determined, a very slow and steady wins the race kind of energy with Taurus, which makes sense because its symbol or its glyph would be the bull. The glyph itself is a circle with a half circle on top resembling the head and horns of a bull. The Taurus archetype is really one of my favorites because it speaks to enjoying life, to really immersing yourself in this earthly realm, the sensual nature of our existence here, the putting in a hard day's work and reaping the benefits of what you've sown, putting in the hard work and then being able to sit down to a beautiful meal is all very Taurus energy. It is the enjoyment of your physical realm, your body, your home, your environment, how hard you work. It's a very upright, principled sign. It is dignified and steady and consistent, and these are the friends in your life that show up no matter what and really do genuinely care about your experience and how you're doing. They tend to be acts of service people. They will help you with things or cook you beautiful meals or share in beautiful experiences. I can't drive home enough the focus on the five senses, this physical experience that Taurus has. They get a lot of flack for overindulging and eating too much, but they do love really good food. They love a beautiful home. They love listening to good music or going out in nature and going on hikes. They are all about the physical experience, the five senses, this enjoyment of being here on earth. They are embodiment, really. And because Venus, the planetary ruler of Taurus, is not only about love and romance, it's about what we value, like our value systems, things that we put high up on our priority list. And that's where Taurus can get its materialistic streak from, focusing on money and possessions and having a good, stable, secure home life, or making sure they have enough to meet all of their needs and wanting the best of things, high quality. It doesn't come from a place of selfishness and materialisticness or trying to gain status like you can sometimes see in the Capricorn archetype. It's a lot more of wanting to work hard and being willing to work harder in order to get the better quality of something, because that's what they know their standard is at, and they know they're going to enjoy that level of quality, and they would rather just work harder in order to be able to afford or deserve that level of quality. As you can tell, the Taurus archetype really gives you a lot to work with. You could cover things like your work ethic, interpersonal relationships, how you show up for your friends, anything that is under the Venus wheelhouse, so things that you value, how you express love, your physical environment, if you need to redo your room, your house, the fixed quality of Taurus, the steadfast determination, sometimes stubborn aspect, can really give you that sticking power if you're needing to see a project through to the end. The earth element, spending time in nature, grounding, connecting to the 3D world around you, be that in a materialistic sense or in a more naturalistic sense, both are involved in this archetype. Once you get clear on what part of the Taurus archetype you're wanting to focus on, or if there's a specific area that the Taurus archetype calls to you in your life that you feel like needs some attention, it is time to figure out what part of the full moon energy you're wanting to work with. There is a broad spectrum of things that you can do during a full moon. A lot of the time it's used for protection work, it is used for things like banishing, or you could do something along the lines of a celebration. Any type of divination is often a choice for people during the full moon. You can think of it in a very literal sense. When the moon is full in the night sky is lit up. Back in the day when they did not have electrical lighting, it was one of the rare times where you could be outside at night. So that usually meant that there's a party going on, or people would spend time guarding their homes. So the protection magic, you can see things in the dark that you previously were unable to see. So knowing that about the potential energy at play during the full moon, I'm going to give you a few moments here to do some introspection, self-reflection, and figure out what aspects of the full moon and the Taurus archetype you're wanting to work with, and what both of these archetypes mean to you personally. I would recommend writing it down so that you have just kind of somewhere to start building a ritual or a spell or a ceremony off of, getting clear on what these things mean to you and what aspects of them you're wanting to work with during this time. I'll put up some pretty images and some music, give you a few seconds here to do some thinking, and I'll be back with the correspondences and associations that I have for Taurus. We are back. And whenever I film on my bed, I just get cozy and tired. So if I'm a little less energetic than normal, blame the bed filming setup. The first Taurus association we're going to cover is the tarot. Taurus's tarot card is the Hierophant. Hierophant is simply a high priest. It's the Greek word for high priest. In the tarot, the Hierophant is representative of things like tradition and convention and due process, like a proper way to do things. It speaks to the fixed, monotonous part of Taurus, the continuously showing up, good work ethic, continued determination, the sticking power of the earth sign. The Hierophant also has a spiritual aspect to him. He's very guru-esque, and that is sometimes referred to as like following the process of spiritual awakening, the commitment to following a guru, following the steps to higher levels of enlightenment, the high priest achievement. The Hierophant is definitely an archetype that knows more than the average Joe, but also believes in the tradition and the convention of the process. Also is tied in heavily to just religion in general. Taurus is chakra. So now there are two chakras that I would associate with Taurus, one being the heart chakra, the other the root chakra, both for obvious reasons, but very different reasons. Having a planetary ruler of Venus, it really talks about getting in touch with the value systems and our love and the senses and that feeling-based aspect, which very much comes from the heart. Also being an earth sign and the color green of the heart chakra and earth tones, earth sign, that kind of thing. But it's also very much so related to your root chakra, which is the grounding aspect of the earth sign as well. Taurus is fixed, it doesn't move quickly, it's set in its ways a lot of the time. It's that slow and steady grounded earth energy. So depending on what you're wanting to work with Taurus to accomplish, I would choose the chakra that works best in that dynamic for you. Body parts the Taurus archetype is associated with would be your neck, your thyroid, your vocal cords, your tonsils, the throat region. Crystals used and associated with Taurus would be jade, malachite, emerald, periot, as well as rhodonite. Metals, copper is often used and associated with Taurus. Herbs associated with Taurus are often sweet in nature, things like mint, catnip, thyme, marshmallow, violet. Flowers associated with Taurus would be violets and poppies. Trees, often cypress trees or apple trees, are associated with Taurus. Think abundance and harvest. Foods that are associated with Taurus is actually a really funny thing to research because Taurus obviously is very sensual in nature and enjoys most foods. This really depends on if you're speaking with a Taurus themselves on their specific life, but a lot of the time Tauruses enjoy elaborate meals, and it doesn't necessarily mean complicated, it just means indulgent, as in a lot of options or a lot of different things. It's not about fancy and price-wise, and believe me, if they have the money, they will indulge as well. But the archetype in general enjoys large meals, more hearty foods, sweet, rich foods, any kind of complex or a lot of options. They just really like to fully indulge. So with the Taurus archetype, I don't have specific food suggestions for you, but think an intentional meal, something you've put some thought to, some real focus on the food. They spend a lot of time honoring the food that they're preparing. So whatever it is that you're preparing, or if you're wanting to use something as an offering, for example, just make sure that you've spent a lot of time and you highly value and honor the food that you're working with. Colors associated would be mauve, pale blue, and greens that are like sage green, that kind of dusty, very natural green tones. Numbers would be 6, 15, and 24. Animals would be cattle in general, including things like oxen. Days of the week for Taurus would be Friday. Taurus's polarity would be Scorpio, so if you're not familiar with working or paying attention to the polarities, it's usually very helpful to, if you're having a hard time, for example, understanding a specific archetype. So if Taurus is not really clicking and you don't really understand it, or you're not vibing with it very well, taking a look at its polarity and understanding the opposite archetype, the archetype that's across from the wheel from it, can be really helpful to help you figure out kind of what it's not. And in a lot of situations, you'll be able to take the archetype of Scorpio, for example, and either flip its characteristics or realize that it's kind of the polarity, the opposite, the counter to the archetype you're trying to work with. So it's like a nice little reversal, and it helps you a lot of the time solidify what you're thinking and feeling about a specific archetype. Famous people, if this is something you're into, I like to include it for fun mostly because I'm not sure how it would be beneficial in a ritual, but there are famous Tauruses out there. William Shakespeare is one, Megan Fox is another, George Clooney, I believe, is a Taurus, Adele is a Taurus, and my personal favorite, Dwayne Johnson. He looks like a Taurus, but I don't know what his rising sign is, but his sun sign is Taurus. A few keywords on the positive side to keep in mind for Taurus would be productivity, patience, stability, determination, and a few keywords for Taurus on the negative side would be stubborn, temperamental, possessive, and unchanging. We've talked about the Taurus archetype, we've talked about different aspects of the full moon energy, and we've now covered some correspondences and associations of Taurus. But what type of ritual are you going to build? A lot of this comes from what you're trying to achieve, the areas of your life that you feel need attention, but I do have a few ritual suggestions for you. If you're wanting to use the celebratory aspect of the full moon, doing some type of dinner party. I am a Taurus rising, and the idea of a costumed dinner party with a select few of very close friends is like the highlight of most of my life. It layers in the intentionality and the sensual pleasure. You get to spend time with your intimate friends, you get to eat wonderful food and share wonderful food, building relationships and creating a celebratory area and good solid memories. You get to eat great food, you get to cook great food, you get to decorate your environment, you can set the table, you can use lights, you can play beautiful music, you can spend that Venusian energy on cultivating and creating a beautiful environment during a full moon to celebrate with your friends how far you have come. It is in Scorpio season that you get the full moon in Taurus, so you're usually approaching the end of the year, so you can start to celebrate with some friends on a colder evening and have a dinner party. If you are wanting to utilize the more protective and banishing-esque energy of the full moon, protecting things like your home or your belongings, your car, your materialistic things, even your money, doing some type of abundance, protection, manifestation combination would be ideal. Whatever aspect or area of your life you're looking to work with during a Taurus full moon, I would recommend calling in your 5 senses as much as possible. So if you're wanting to do a manifestation ritual or spell or something of the sort, I would recommend doing like a 5 sense meditation where you focus on what you're manifesting would taste like or smell like or feel like or look like. Call in those 5 senses and really ground whatever it is in this 3D reality. Taurus is very good at experiencing things in such a vivid, full sense that it's a good, powerful tool to utilize during this time. Because Taurus is at home in the 2nd house and the full moon is often used for divination, I would take this opportunity, if you are looking to do some type of divination, to ask for clarity around money, your value systems, anything that might spread some light on where you're spending your time, things and priorities that you might need to set straight. If you have skewed priorities or you're not sharing your wealth, are you being possessive and do you need to loosen the reins a little bit? Those type of clarifying questions in divination can be really helpful. Because the full moon is such a culminating point, it's the peak energetic high, you can do some type of release work. Taurus often struggles with change and struggles with hanging on to things, and I know that most people, whether they have Taurus placements or not, struggle with the concept of letting go of control or releasing something that's really near and dear to them, to the world or to the universe, and trusting that it'll be taken care of, and if not, it wasn't meant to be. Those types of concepts. So doing some type of really hard, really deep release work could be very beneficial and really powerful for a Taurus full moon. On that note, beautiful people, I hope you have a fantastic Taurus full moon, whatever you see fit to do with it. Enjoy the rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this. Live long and prosper as always, and I will see you back here with another video very shortly. Bye.